And, you know, we were talking, weren't we, during the first half, we were discussing, is this going to be our good half? Was this our bad half? We weren't that impressed with the way we were playing, but it seemed as though, like, in the first half, we had a little bit of control. It looked like we were slightly, maybe, the better team. But, I mean, there were some good moments, weren't there? Because in the early stages, Perisic was getting good crosses in the box. Porro was finding himself in really good spaces. And it looked like maybe we came out with a bit of a point to prove in the early stages of that first half. But, God, how wrong was that? Because that second half just told the whole story of everything, really. Everything. And I just don't get what happened in that second half. I know, like, yeah, there's been a consistent theme of Spurs playing better in one half than another. But that second half performance was absolutely tragic. It just really was. I mean, it just went from bad to worse gradually as the second half was wearing on. And, you know, just after seeing, like, that first 10 minutes of that second half, and even after going 1-0 up, you just weren't confident whatsoever that we could seal off that win at all. And that's what came to pass. You know, Everton got that deserved equaliser in the last minute. But it's just a constant theme now with Tottenham Hotspur. And whoever thought, like, I know I said last week, I said that Christian Stellini is going to bring continuity to this squad. But I guess continuity is not what this squad need. This squad need a fresh approach and fresh mentality that the players can actually get behind, because they didn't like Conte's football. They didn't like playing under Conte. And what we've done is basically sack Conte for a BTEC Conte. That's basically what we've done. So, I mean, if they think that that's going to yield good results, I don't understand. I don't understand how.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a complete tragedy when it comes to how we were gifted the game and how we threw it away. If the players wanted a right of reply to these Conte comments and how upset they were with some of these comments and how Conte alienated a lot of these players because he called them out for a lot of their misgivings a few weeks ago before the international break, well, this was their chance to put it in his face. This is their chance for them to prove him wrong. This was their chance to say to the Premier League or whoever's watching that he's not right in what he said, and we do have the mental toughness and the mentality to see these games out, and we're not mentally freak and we can stand the pressure. And what they did was completely reaffirm everything Conte said and then some. In fact, it was probably one of the worst capitulations I've seen from Tottenham this season. And you know, you might be sitting here saying, look, oh, Sim, it's a 1-1 draw and we've gone fourth, you know, there's probably been worse moments, but I honestly think based on under the circumstances, this is probably the worst capitulation this season in terms of level of performance that I've seen from this Tottenham side, especially in that last 20 minutes. I think the first half, it was okay. I mean, nothing special, but also nothing too bad. We had some good moments. Kane had a header from a Perisic cross, and then he had off the line from Michael Keane, and Porro got in behind a couple of times. We're thinking we're looking all right. But then we also had that tendency to allow Everton into the game. Set pieces, we were looking shaky. Lloris was flapping. Decore had a chance. Damari Gray had a shot over the bar as well. So Everton retained that threat without really threatening from open play, while Spurs had we did have good passages and good, you know, working the ball out wide and getting chances, but didn't really create too many clear-cut openings for ourselves, apart from that one from Kane off the line, but that also fell into our lap. So going to second half, you're thinking we've got this game under control, but we need to kind of take it up a notch if we're going to get all 3 points. And then we start the second half so bloody.
Just a quick one on the first half, because we were sitting here, talking about good performances in those first halves, and we said Eric Dyer having a really good performance in that first half, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg having a good performance in that first half, Ivan Perisic having a good performance, Pedro Porro. You know, we looked at Christian Romero. We looked at these players. We're like, wow, they're actually performing. Maybe they are, you know, gonna play for the badge and play for the team. But how wrong were we? I mean, those particular players, Romero aside, all had absolutely tragic second halves, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it set the tone for the second half. Literally within the first minute, Dyer gives the ball away inside his just on the edge.
A minute after we were praising him.
Literally a minute in the second half, on the edge of his own box, he gives the ball away, and we're lucky that Idrissa Gueye plays over the bar. We're trying to play out from the back, and we're just really struggling to find any sort of pattern to play or any sort of rhythm. We're really struggling to get into the game, to be honest. At this point, we're just being so sloppy out the back. I don't think we've had a shot for about 15 minutes in that second half. Everton themselves, I don't think we're doing anything special. We were just forcing mistakes out of us, and we were obliging pretty well. And then the moment came. Doucouré, with a moment of madness, has an altercation with Kane, ends up palming him in the face and getting himself sent off. I don't understand the furore around this. Oh, Kane went down. The guy full on hit him in the face, whatever you want to say. And yeah, maybe, look, is Kane going to need stitches, or was he going to go to hospital? No, obviously it wasn't that bad. But I've seen players a lot less, go down for what Kane went down for yesterday, and no one said anything. So for some reason, because it's Harry Kane, people have to say, oh, he's a cheat, all these different things.
Didn't play it for him after the game in the interview or something.
Like, honestly, Kane was more within his right to go down. You see his face proper shift when he gets hit. By the way,
for all these people, that want to lay into Harry Kane for what happened yesterday, where's the abuse for Damari Gray that took a dirty dive yesterday that didn't even get spotted on, didn't even get called upon? You know, that's much worse than what Harry Kane did yesterday.
I agree, and I think Kane, there's players who've been hit in the face and gone down for a lot less than Kane went down for yesterday, and no one said anything. So I think Kane was within his right to go down. I don't think it wasn't like there was little contact. Like, it wasn't like he brushed his face. He full on hit it. He full on hit his face. It wasn't like there was a soft touch from Doucouré. He full on hit Kane in the face. You saw there was a red mark on Kane's face after as well. So I'm not saying it was like life-threatening or like it was really like he was going to break a bone or anything like that, but it probably affected Kane a bit, and I'm not saying it got him down, but I think in those situations he's more within his right to go down and get Doucouré sent off.
I get that. He is well within his right to get Kane sent off, but I did think he did overplay it and did make a bit of a meal out of what it was, and that's why people are laying into him this morning. So I can kind of see their argument.
I'm saying it wasn't like Martial and Lamela. That was much worse.
Of course it wasn't, but still, he still
and people and no one even said anything about Lamela. They were like, oh yeah, he's right because he got Martial sent off. You know what I mean?
No, I remember people laying into Lamela at the time massively, to be honest. But look, Kane was within his right, no problem, to go down, but he did make a meal of it once he did go down. He stayed down for quite a while, and look, I can see why people are laying into him because nobody really wants to see it, but he was in his right, and it was definitely a sending off.
Definitely a sending off. I think he got hit by Doucouré, in my opinion. So definite red, moment of madness, and then we did take control, to be fair. For the next 10 minutes or so, and we were, without really creating any chances, we had possession, we were penning Everton back, they had no out ball, and it looked like it was a matter of time before Tottenham would make the advantage pay, and we got the penalty. And then we stick the penalty away. Romero brought down, I think it was a penalty. Kane sticks away, and you're thinking, okay, 1-0 up, opposition down to 10 men. Perfect scenario. Now they have to
Especially against a team like Everton.
Yeah, because at this point it looked like they were trying to get a 0-0. So, and it looked like they were kind of penning themselves in. So now all of a sudden they have to come out a bit. They have to throw caution to the wind to try and get a result. They're going to leave gaps. They're not a team great at keeping possession even with 11 men. So they're going to probably struggle to keep possession with 10 men. Surely, and it should be a perfect scenario for us.
Exactly. Surely these are the scenarios that we're looking for in games with the tactics that we're playing. Like for a team like Everton who play low block football, who put men behind the ball, for them to go 1-0 behind with 20 minutes to go, and for them to have to throw the kitchen sink just to get an equaliser, that is exactly where we want to be.
100%.
That's exactly where we want to be.
We had them where we want them. We had the game was gifted to us, essentially, a red card and a penalty, and then so we have the game where we want it, and yet for those last 20 minutes, the way we approached those last 20 minutes was nothing short of a disgrace.
Embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. It was like we were a conference side in the third round of FA Cup playing a Premier League team, and like we were just like literally backs against the wall, trying our might to just see out a 1-0. No thought of trying to kill the game and keep possession and make Everton work hard to win the ball back. It was all about giving the ball straight back to them, unforced errors, playing the ball out of play under no pressure, allowing Everton to dominate possession. When Everton have possession, we shouldn't be dropping back and giving them initiative. We should be pressing them because we have the extra man. So there's always going to be an extra man for us to cover the space. So just dropping back and allowing them to hoist crosses into the box and put us under pressure was completely unacceptable. And when we did get possession, we had no composure, no technical ability, completely panicking, just lumping the ball forward, giving it straight back to Everton every single time. And look, bring on the phone. You can just see from the momentum bar, it just tells the story. It tells the story completely. If you see this blue bit here, that's where the goal was. And then literally all Everton after that 1-0. The green bit is Everton. It was literally all Everton as soon as we scored up until the end.
And that's with 10 men.
And that's with 10 men. Up until obviously we got a red card, but that was only like a few seconds before we scored anyway. Minutes, yeah. I think it was literally under 2 minutes.
Wasn't it?
Because we got sent off. He got sent off at 88, and they scored on 90.
Oh right, okay.
So literally, for the majority of it, we had 20% possession for those final 23 minutes after we scored. 20% possession. There was a period even during the game. There was a 5-minute period. They flashed up a possession on the screen. There was 85% possession to Everton and 15 to us.
11 at the time.
Sorry, yeah, that was 10 on 11 at the time. I mean, it's laughable. How we approach that game. And then Stellini didn't help the situation. He brings on Sanchez for Longley because he wanted to combat Everton's threat from set pieces. And what Sanchez did was continuously give the ball away and have no composure on the ball, and it led to more pressure being put on Tottenham. And then he brings on Lucas Moura for Son, who's not naturally left winger. We have Danjuma on the bench, and then Lucas went and got himself sent off. So I don't think the substitutions at all helped from Stellini at all. But the players themselves have to take responsibility for their just lack of no one taking responsibility for the ball. No one saying, okay, look, we have 11 men. We're going to pass the ball around and force them to come out on us. And if once they come out from their positions, then we can hit them over the top, or we can exploit the spaces because we have the extra man. When Everton had the ball, there was someone saying, okay, they have the ball, so we need to really press really aggressively over up the intensity because we have the extra man. So there's not going to be a way for them to play through us if we up the intensity. There was none of that from Tottenham. It was just panicking, no technical ability, giving the ball away constantly, and we got what we deserved, which was conceding an equaliser, albeit there was a special equaliser from Everton, but it was absolutely what we deserved.
But the goal was coming. The goal was absolutely coming for all that for Everton. Since we basically scored up until the end of the game, like no Spurs fan could safely say that they were sitting there watching the game and didn't see that goal coming, because everyone saw that coming. And the lack of like, what got me was the complete lack of composure, lack of awareness, lack of care, lack of everything that you need, fundamentals to be a football player in the Premier League. They had none of that yesterday in that second half. And Eric Dyer consistently giving the ball back to them time and time and time again. Højbjerg, oh my God, how poor was he in that second half? Like, I don't
looking up, no nothing.
I don't get what this comes from. Just panicking every time they get the ball. There's just no sort of composure whatsoever when any of these players get the ball. And it's just like, how are you guys paid this much to play for this football team in the Premier League? And how the hell in God's name and earth are these players fourth in the league?
Where are the leaders in these situations? Where is anyone just taking the team, having a chat with them and saying, look, calm down, we've got this game under control, we need to go and get that second goal, we need to kill this game off, we need to just keep possession and play through them because we have the extra man. When they get the ball, we need to make sure that we're on their case and pressing really high, because we can't let them back into this game. We can't allow them to have that initiative. There was no leadership whatsoever, no one taking responsibility, everyone passing the buck. Ariane, I thought, was brilliant on this fan cam yesterday. We said no one was passing the ball; they were just passing responsibility. Absolutely. I couldn't have put it better myself. That's exactly what everyone was doing. It was like they treated the ball like a hot potato, just clearing it every time, and didn't even want to spend a second of time thinking about what to do with the ball. Just get it and lump it, and just try and see out a 1-0 win against 10 men. And I thought it was a joke. It was disgraceful, and they had what was coming to them. And if you watch the watch along yesterday, like, this wasn't a case of like that goal coming out the blue or like us being angry because they equalised. Literally from the minute we scored, we were just fuming here, like, with how we were playing, because we could see that all we were doing was playing into Everton's hands. Like, if Everton wanted a perfect team to play against while down to 10 men, they couldn't have asked for a better team than Tottenham yesterday. That was like the perfect game for them if you're down to 10 men. A team that's just going to sit back, allow you to take advantage and allow you to get back in the game and not make things difficult for you. And that was it from Tottenham yesterday, and it was so frustrating. It was so hard to watch, because it was like watching someone like see something on a train track and like spending time like trying to pick it up or something, not noticing there's a train coming behind him, and not spending any time looking up to see if there's a train. And it's like he doesn't notice there's a train about to hit him, and he's still like fiddling around with the train track trying to like fix something, like getting all obsessed with it, and then doesn't notice there's a train coming behind him, and he finally gets hit by it without looking up ever. And that's what it felt like watching Tottenham yesterday. It was just a train about to hit them without them realising, and it was just them allowing it to happen, and it was just so frustrating and hard to watch.
Yeah, it really was. And look, at this point, I know it's only been one game and it might seem like a bit of an overreaction, but I really don't think it's an overreaction, what I'm about to say, because I genuinely think that we should just bin off Stellini and all the coaching staff right now. Give it to Mason, give it to someone that's going to do something a bit different. Because if it's just going to be the same, then what the hell is the point? What was the point of sacking Conte?
I agree. If the big complaint with these players, they're sick of their training, they're sick of how we approach games. They were begging Conte. Apparently, they're on their knees. Let us have the shackles off. Let us play some football. Let us play some attacking football. All this kind of stuff. Apparently, they were so desperate for it. And if it's going to be the same under Stellini, I don't see the point in keeping it. And again, if you can't play football in that situation, which is the perfect situation to play football in, then you're never going to do it. It's never going to happen. So you might as you're never going to be able. If you can't play your way around 10 men like yesterday when you're 1-0 up, then you're never going to be able to do it. So clearly, these tactics are not made for these situations. Yeah. So that's not what the players want. So change it up. I think from a tactical point of view, I would have gone to a 3-5-2 when we're 1-0 up as well, because I thought Onana and Idrissa Gueye were completely dominating in that centre. If we would have added an extra body, it would have really helped with that situation. I don't think Stellini managed that situation well.
Skip and Højbjerg could get nowhere close.
They were getting bullied by them. That was it. They went to a 4-4-1 Everton.
That was Skip's worst performance in a while, by the way.
And we allowed them to dominate in midfield. We allowed them to do it because we didn't. Those midfield, Skip and Højbjerg were tiring, and we didn't add an extra body or freshen up at Sarah or anything like that. So we allowed them to get back in the game from that front, and then they gained that advantage, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible.
You know what pissed me off the most out of yesterday? It wasn't even the performance. It wasn't even the way we lost it yesterday. It was the comments from Stellini after the game. Just like, what the hell are you watching? What the hell are you commenting on? You're saying we played a good game today.
Well, Laurie says that we have to take. There's a lot of positives to take from today.
Both of them. Like,
what are you watching?
Name me one positive that you can take from yesterday. What Perisic put in a good cross.
There's no positives.
That's literally the only thing I can think of. Like, it was all absolutely shocking. And those comments, after doing the watch long, sitting through a fan show, going home and looking at the press conferences and all these kind of things that you don't get to see when you're in the studio, I see that. And it wound me up more than the actual game, that, I promise you.
when you have a performance like we did in the last 20 minutes, that's like massive red flags, alarm bells. Like, we should be looking at that and be extremely concerned with how we won't be able to cope with 10-man Everton. It shouldn't be a case of, oh, you know, we take the positives, we learn from it, and all this, and move on, all this kind of rubbish that they like. You should be sitting, looking yourselves, and be saying like, what the hell were we doing in those last 20 minutes? How the hell did we get to a point where we struggled to control a game against 10 men? How did we get to that point?
These guys just like forgotten how like the fundamentals of football, like why they became professional, like.
And you know what? The fact that people like Lloris coming out and saying that, that's exactly what Conte was talking about. That attitude, that mentality of, you know, not doesn't really affect. Oh, we played against 10 men and we let it slip, but we move on and we learn to fight. It didn't feel like it affected them. They really cared that they dropped points in that game, and they were really unhappy. Yeah. It just seemed like, oh, it is, you know, it's football, and you know, sometimes this happens, and Goodison Park's a hard place to go, and all these rubbish diatribes that they came out with after the game. Like, that is exactly the mentality that Conte was going crazy about. That's what was driving him crazy during his whole tenure at Tottenham, because these players, it doesn't affect them when we lose games like this, or when we drop points when we shouldn't. It doesn't really affect them. They just like move on for it very quickly without really being obsessed with trying to improve themselves and learn. All they want is, they don't want the stress of it. They just want to take it and move on and just forget about it. That was yesterday, like, and not obsessed with improving.
It's like they're just like playing Sunday League of football, where there's no like no consequences whatsoever. Like, you know, you go wake up on a Sunday, go out there in the park with your mates, and win, lose or draw, whatever. You come back and forget about it after you go off the pitch. That's Sunday League football. No, this is Premier League football, where you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds and fans, you know, counting on you and really like trying to get the best out of you, and you put in performances like that and have a lack of care in press conferences afterwards. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace, and this whole club.
It would have been a disgrace in any scenario, but to do this off the back of, first of all, doing what you did at Southampton only a couple weeks ago, where you completely shat the bed with 2 goals to the good with 15 minutes to go against bottom of the league, but then you then have fall out with your manager because he's giving you some home truths. Then you decide, instead of internalizing them and listening to them, you decide to say,
prove him right.
Yeah, you decide to say, actually, I completely disagree with what you're saying, and I think you're disgraced for calling us out, and, you know, we're going to tell the hierarchy we suggest you be sacked, and you've alienated us and all this stuff. And that's your response to what Conte said. So off the back of that, you've now got a chance to respond to what Conte said, and then you just absolutely double down on exactly what he said, and you actually shit the bed even worse than you shat the bed when he was complaining. So it would have been unacceptable in any stage of the season to do what they did, but to do it in that scenario makes it even worse than it already would have been. So these players have taken a long look at themselves, really do.
And this is the club, unfortunately, this is the club that Daniel Levy has built. I mean, this is where all the problems stem from. It's all these issues and all these wrong decisions have culminated in creating a mentality like that, in being to where we are today. I mean, I'm trying to think about it, like the footballing decisions that Daniel Levy has made pretty much since the beginning of the Poch era. Let's be honest, yeah, Poch, everyone goes, oh, what a great decision and what a great thing it was bringing Pochettino to this football club. And yes, it was, but he stumbled across Pochettino. It wasn't even his first choice. He wanted to bring Louis van Gaal in here, to be honest. And since then, like, we had a bit of an uptick because Pochettino, like, just caused magic pretty much by being here and getting us to punch above our weight. But it was the key decisions made by that man, Daniel Levy, time and time again. I mean, I can't think of since then one good decision, correct decision he's made on the footballing side of things. I can't think of one.
Hasn't made any.
Name one?
Hasn't made any.
Not making a signing for 18 months. Sacking Pochettino after finally giving him his money to spend, hiring Jose Mourinho after that and completely changing the philosophy up, sacking Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final, and putting Mason in charge for the cup final in his first game ever in management as the youngest manager in Premier League history, taking 72 days to hire a manager and then stumbling across Nuno Espirito Santo after saying you want to get back to the Spurs DNA, sacking Nuno 3 months into his Spurs tenure, and hiring Antonio Conte, where, you know, as much as we all got excited about Antonio Conte, you knew it was going to end like this. You knew it was the wrong fit. And now he's sacked Antonio Conte and puts his number 2 in charge. I mean, the whole thing is just completely laughable. Every single decision this guy has made has been completely wrong. And
I'm listening to Stellini as well yesterday, and he says, you know, it's a process. It's gonna take a while. It can't change overnight. It's like, bro, you're here for 9 games. Like 9 games. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? You're not here. There ain't no process for you, man.
That's the kind of way I was feeling as well when Conte was like, I need all these transfer windows. I need all these transfer windows. You're not going to get these transfer windows because your contract runs out at the end of the season, mate.
Yeah, I just like, what do you mean? Stellini's here to get results right now. If you're not going to get results right now, there's no point in you being here. There's no process. There's no, you know, step by step. It's you're here for 9 games. Can you get us top 4? Yes or no? That's it. So that was also frustrating me hearing Stellini say that it's not going to change overnight. All these things. What do you mean it's not going to change? You're just doing the same thing that Conte is doing anyway. Yeah. So. It's very frustrating being a Tottenham fan at the moment.
I was looking at the state of this squad. I was talking to you a bit about this off camera earlier today, but I counted 19 players that their future could be up in the air very, very soon. When you're looking at it, you've got Lucas leaving at the end of the season. Hugo leaving, got 1 year left, could leave at the end of the season. We're looking to bring in a replacement for him. Danjuma, Longley on loan. Perisic, most likely leaving at the end of the season. Harry Kane, future up in the air, contract running down. We don't know what's going to go on with him. You've got the players coming back from loan who are surplus to requirements in Ndombele, Lo Celso, Winks, Reguilon, potentially Brian Hill and Joe Rodon. And then you've got the players who are just nowhere near good enough. In Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, Ryan Sessegnon, Japhet Tanganga, Ben Davis, potentially even Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, potentially even Emerson Royale. That is 19 players. So out of a squad of 25, 26, we've got about 6 to 8 players where all of us fans are probably on the same hymn sheet saying we're comfortable with them being the future of this football club.
Yeah, and that just goes to show the state of the squad and what they've...
19 players, Sim, 19.
Yeah. That's it.
How have we let it get to this stage? How?
Well, absolutely atrocious planning. Atrocious planning. From this is what happens when there was a lack of strategy from the top down. That's when there's no cohesive strategy. This is what you're left with.
And you talk about like the kind of rip down job that this squad needs to progress, and that's what we're talking about right there. That is the rip down job, and it needed to be done 3-4 years ago. Like, you know what I mean?
And now we're even a bigger mess than ever.
Now we're in a bigger mess.
That's what happens when you don't have a full. There's no full plan. There's no strategy. It's just slapdash, put things together. There's no cohesive strategy from the top down, and when it's all like cobbled together out of nowhere, that's what you're left with. That's what you're left with. You're left with a squad which pretty much majority of players you don't know what's going to be with them next season. You have no idea, and a lot of them you don't want them to be there next season.
And on top of that, no sporting director, a chairman that keeps making wrong decisions, and
no manager. The life of being a Spurs fan.
By the way,
and you're fourth.
And by the way, it's not only even a manager and sporting director, because you've still got all of Conte's backroom staff here as well.
Yeah, they're still here at the moment. Should bring Conte back. Why not? But look, that's the life of being. And you got no women's manager as well. Yeah, they also got no manager. Life of being a Spurs fan. It's just.
And by the way,
everything.
We're getting a season ticket price rise as well.
Oh. This club, man. This club is just going to be the death of me, honestly. And somehow we're still fourth in the table. I don't know how.
We went third yesterday for a few minutes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, for a minute I was like, "Oh my god, we're actually going third." But that was
long highlights. Like me and you, like, how the hell are we third?
It was too good to be true because it was never good. It was a false. There's always false. But
it's false for us being in fourth. I don't know how we're
100%. This club. Look. You're looking at the team, and there's no way we're going to couple a run of results together with that kind of mentality. And Conte said, "What mentality can we go with how we're showing 6th or 7th or 8th?" He said. I think it's absolutely right.
Brighton at home, probably 0 points, maybe 1 if we're lucky. Bournemouth at home, maybe we'll get 3 points that game. After that, we've got Newcastle away, Man U at home, and Liverpool away. I mean, we're not getting any points in any of those 3 games. So you're looking at a potential of maybe 4 points in our next 5 games. And once that's curtains for the season.
Yep. And also, we're going to have St. Tottenham's Day this weekend.
Is that this weekend, is it? Is it?
Well, once we lose and they win, yeah.
All right, well, there you have it. That is our match review for the 1-1 draw at Everton last night. Let me know your thoughts of the game in the comment section below. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.